In a grand castle, the Queen Mother prepared to send her princess away to marry a prince in a distant land. With tears, the Queen Mother pricked her finger and placed 3 drops of blood onto a white silk cloth. She gave the blood cloth to the princess as a protective charm to keep her safe on the long journey ahead. The Queen Mother assigned a servant called False Princess to accompany and serve her daughter on the way. The princess's faithful companion, Falada, a magical white horse who could speak, would carry her forward. The Queen Mother embraced her daughter one last time, her heart heavy with both hope and worry for her child. The princess mounted Falada gracefully, holding the precious blood cloth close to her heart as a blessing. With a final wave, the princess and False Princess departed from the castle gates toward the distant kingdom. After days of traveling, the princess became thirsty under the hot sun and asked for water from her servant. The False Princess rudely refused to help, telling the princess to get water from the stream by herself now. The princess dismounted Falada and knelt by the stream, bending down to drink the cool water with her hands. As she drank, the precious blood cloth slipped from her pocket and floated away down the stream unnoticed. Without the magical protection, the princess became weak and powerless against the evil servant's dark plans. The False Princess seized the moment, threatening the princess and forcing her to exchange their royal clothes. The wicked servant made the princess swear an oath never to reveal the truth to anyone about what happened. Now dressed as the princess, the False Princess mounted Falada, while the true princess walked behind sadly. At last, they arrived at the magnificent castle gates, where the prince and old king waited to greet them warmly. The prince welcomed the False Princess as his bride with a respectful bow, believing she was the true princess. The old king smiled kindly at the disguised servant, never suspecting the cruel deception happening before him. The False Princess pointed at the true princess, calling her a mere servant girl who helped along the journey. The old king ordered the princess to work as a goose girl, tending the geese in the meadows every single day. Fearing that Falada might reveal the truth, the False Princess secretly ordered the horse to be killed immediately. The princess heard the terrible news and wept bitterly for her faithful friend who had always protected her well. With a heavy heart, the princess changed into simple peasant clothes and prepared for her new life ahead, sadly. Before Falada died, the princess begged the butcher to hang the horse's head above the dark city gateway arch. The kind butcher agreed to her strange request and carefully mounted the Fala head on the wooden gate post. Early next morning, the princess walked through the gateway with geese, heading out to the meadow for work. She stopped beneath the Falada head and whispered sadly her greeting to her beloved friend mounted above her. To her amazement, the Falada head spoke back with words of sorrow about the princess's tragic fallen state now. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she heard Falada's voice, grateful for this magical connection remaining still. The young goose boy, Conrad, watched this strange scene with wide, curious eyes, confused by what he witnessed there. Every morning from then on, the princess would stop and speak with Falada head before beginning her daily work. Before Falada died, the princess begged the butcher to hang the horse's head above the dark city gateway arch. The kind butcher agreed to her strange request and carefully mounted the Fala head on the wooden gate post. Early next morning, the princess walked through the gateway with geese, heading out to the meadow for work. She stopped beneath the Falada head and whispered sadly her greeting to her beloved friend mounted above her. To her amazement, the Falada head spoke back with words of sorrow about the princess's tragic fallen state now. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she heard Falada's voice, grateful for this magical connection remaining still. The young goose boy, Conrad, watched this strange scene with wide, curious eyes, confused by what he witnessed there. Every morning from then on, the princess would stop and speak with Falada head before beginning her daily work. Day after day, Conrad noticed more strange things about the mysterious Goose Girl working beside him in meadow. Every morning, she spoke to the Falada head at the gate, and the mounted horse head always answered her back. In the meadow, whenever he tried touching her golden hair, the wind would blow his hat away mysteriously again. Conrad grew more confused and frustrated, sensing something magical was happening that he could not understand fully. He wondered who this Goose Girl really was and why she possessed such unusual powers over nature and animals. Conrad decided he must tell someone important about these strange events, so he went to find the wise old king. Standing before the old king in the throne room, Conrad nervously reported everything odd he had witnessed each day. The old king listened carefully with growing interest, stroking his white beard while considering the boy's strange tale deeply. Intrigued by Conrad's report, the old king decided to secretly follow the Goose Girl himself the very next morning early. He hid near the city gateway at dawn and watched as the princess stopped beneath the mounted Falada head. The old king was amazed when he heard the princess greet Falada, and the horse head spoke back with words. He followed them quietly to the goose meadow and concealed himself behind bushes to observe without being seen there. The old king watched as the princess let down her beautiful golden hair that shimmered like pure sunlight itself brightly. When Conrad reached to touch her hair, she sang softly, and the wind suddenly came to blow his hat away. The old king witnessed Conrad chasing his hat while the princess quickly braided and hid her hair under her cap. Now, certain something extraordinary was happening, the old king returned to his castle, determined to learn the complete truth soon. The old king summoned the princess to his private chamber, kindly asking her to explain all the mysteries he saw. The princess looked down sadly and said she was bound by a sacred oath never to reveal the truth. Tears filled her eyes as she explained she had sworn never to tell anyone what happened on the journey. The wise old king thought carefully and said she could tell her secret to the old iron stove in the corner. The princess agreed, kneeling before the cold stove and pouring out her entire heartbreaking story into its darkness inside. Meanwhile, the clever old king had climbed outside and listened through the stove's chimney pipe to hear every word clearly. He heard how the false princess stole her identity, forced the oath, and condemned her to this humble servant life. The old king's heart filled with both anger and compassion as he finally understood the complete terrible truth at last. The old king organized a grand royal banquet feast and invited the false princess to sit beside him at the table. The prince attended as well, sitting nearby, while the true princess served at the feast dressed as a servant girl. During the meal, the old king asked the false princess what punishment a traitor who betrayed trust truly deserved fairly. The false princess answered confidently without realizing she was describing punishment for herself, not knowing the trap set. She declared cruelly that such a wicked person deserved to be placed in a barrel with sharp nails inside. The old king stood up solemnly and announced that she had just pronounced judgment and sentence upon her own self. Guards immediately seized the shocked false princess as the old king revealed he knew everything about her terrible evil deeds completely. The false princess was taken away to face the exact punishment she herself suggested, while justice was finally being served. After the false princess was taken away, the old king gently led the true princess forward before all the guests assembled there. He announced to everyone that this humble servant girl was actually the real princess who had suffered greatly with patience. The prince was amazed and stood up immediately, realizing he had been deceived by the cruel impostor all along completely. Royal servants brought beautiful gowns, and the princess was dressed again in proper royal garments, befitting her true noble station. When she appeared in her true form, everyone gasped at her beauty, grace, and the gentle kindness shining from her. The prince approached her, took her hand tenderly, and asked her forgiveness for not recognizing her worth before this moment. A magnificent wedding celebration was held, and the princess married the prince with her queen mother, attending joyfully from a far home. The princess and prince lived happily ever after, ruling their kingdom with justice, wisdom, and kindness for all their days.